Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Willow's Weather Briefing. Today is Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. Our significant heat wave continues in the Midwest through the East Coast, with record breaking temperatures expected throughout this regime, most influenced by the upper level ridge, bringing us our much above average temperatures. We've already seen records broken throughout the East yesterday, and today is supposed to be similar or maybe just a tad hotter in most areas. We also have significant flash flooding expected in the central and southern New Mexico regions, associated with some anomalous moisture moving into the area. Continuous rainfall through the next few days in New Mexico and the Midwest will cause episodes of flash flooding risk, while the ridge in the east slowly breaks down and gives some relief to the record breaking heat. Much above average temperatures for the east, below average temperatures for those experiencing cloudiness and rainfall in the Midwest, plains, and Southwest, also below average for much of the basin, plateau, and desert regions of the inner West. So here's the NWS office in Philadelphia and Mount Holly. Record breaking temperatures in cities like Allentown, Philadelphia, Reading, Trenton, none of which reaching 100 degrees, but as noted here, some areas probably did reach 100 degrees, but weren't recorded with um, the climate stations that they have. Come on. So this is another look at NWS New York, the NWS office for New York City. Central Park in New York City reached 96 degrees, which ties the record, last set in 1888. Newark, New Jersey, 101 degrees, surpassing that 100-degree mark. So we expect temperatures to be similar, if not hotter, today. But after today, we should see a gradual cooling in the east as the ridge slowly starts to break down. Here's our drought monitor map. The solid lines demarcate the areas of greatest concern with drought. And here is our current watches and warnings, excessive heat or extreme heat warnings throughout much of the East Coast from the mid-Atlantic all the way up towards England. We also have patchiness of extreme heat warnings here in West Virginia, Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan, and also Western Pennsylvania. This broad heat advisory extends all the way throughout much of the eastern United States. We also have a flood watch in effect for New Mexico into the Trans-Pecos region of western Texas, and also a red flag warning here in the plateau regions of western Colorado and into eastern Utah. Some flash flood warnings already in effect for areas such as southern Iowa and northern Missouri due to that stationary front lingering, demarcating the boundary between this warm, moist air and cool, dry air to the north. Speaking of, here is our surface fronts and sea level pressure. 12Z, today we have a frontal boundary set off over here. The flash flood warnings are definitely associated with this boundary. We have this broad high pressure lingering in the eastern United States, and most of the rainfall will be relegated along this surface front, but we will also have some rainfall over here in New Mexico because we do have a boundary of warm, moist air and dry, warm air over here in the west, and also some upper level sports will bring some chances for a lot of rainfall here in central New Mexico. But as we move forward, we will continue to see the struggle between these two air masses of this high pressure and this low pressure, and we will see sort of a breakdown of this ridge, which will cause some sort of frontal passage later on this week over here in the Northeast, bringing us some relief up here. But still, warm temperatures will exist for the Southeast for the foreseeable future. This constant struggle between this ridge and preceding cooler air from the north will be the main story and will bring tons of rainfall to areas such as the Midwest and Central Plains. So here is our day one excessive rainfall outlook. Our main story is going to be this moderate risk of excessive rainfall throughout much of central New Mexico. 3 to 5 inches of rain is expected, especially in the southern portions of the moderate risk. This includes areas like Alamogordo, Las Cruces, mainly portions around the Sacramento Mountains and San Mateo Mountains over here. Northern areas closer to Albuquerque, Santa Fe will still receive a good few inches of rain, and due to the dry soils and expected high rainfall rates, we do expect some flash flooding concerns there. But we do have another regime of excessive rainfall over here in the Midwest region. 2 to 3 inches are expected in the slight risk, but the main story will be the excessive rainfall rates over here associated with that stationary front that we saw. Day two, slight risks for mainly the same areas and similar mechanisms. 1 to 2 inches of rain is expected in this risk area down here in New Mexico. On top of the rainfall today, will bring an enhanced risk over there. And also a slight risk across the Midwest. We do expect 1 to 2 inches of rain with local totals up to 4 inches and stronger convective cores. Main area of concern is up here in the Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota region, where we have more confidence in training convection. Day three, a slight risk of excessive rainfall still over here in the Midwest associated with that stationary front. Do expect 1 to 2 inches of rain with locally higher amounts expected. Day four, we do have additional marginal risks of excessive rainfall in these regions, and same thing for day five as we start to get the ridge being shunted a little bit to the south, bringing us some rainfall to the northeast. Here is our fire weather outlook. Not that busy, just an elevated fire weather risk here from northern Arizona to southern Wyoming. The rest at day two and onwards have no fire risk. Here is our convective outlook. We do have a slight risk of severe thunderstorms here from far southeastern Montana down towards the ridges here in Colorado. This includes cities like Denver, Lakewood, Fort Collins, Thornton, Colorado. This is primarily for a large to giant hail risk here towards the higher elevations. The tornado and wind risk is fairly low for this event. Looking at our day two outlook, we do have slight risks of severe weather here in the southeast and also portions of the Piedmont and mid-Atlantic regions. This includes cities like Charlotte, North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, Durham, Winston-Salem, and also Dothan, Alabama, Mobile, Alabama are also within these slight risk areas. The main concern here is damaging winds and possibly a little bit of large hail. Day three outlook, marginal risks for the Midwest and also Southeast. This is, of course, associated with our stationary front and some lingering moisture flux into the higher elevations down here. Day four, we do have enhanced flow finally starting to impinge into the northern plains. So that is going to cause a slight risk of severe weather over there. This includes cities like Minot, Bismarck, Pierre, Valentine, Nebraska. And otherwise, predictability is too low. So here is our main story for today, the heat risk. Extreme heat risk throughout much of the Ohio Valley into the lower Great Lakes region, as well as the East Coast. Some of these areas will reach 100 degrees over here in the East Coast, while areas over here are just much above average. These purple regions demarcate not only high heat indices, but also the departure from above average. And it just so happens that over here, the departure above average is so high that we just have a widespread extreme risk of heat over there. But the extreme heat risk extends all the way to portions of the Midwest. Tomorrow, we will see a continuation of that heat over here, but we will see the ridge start to deplete, which is why you see a shunting of the heat risk to the south and that trend will sort of continue as we see the ridge slowly start to break down by late week into the weekend, where we'll get a little bit more seasonable temperatures, perhaps still above average, but definitely more seasonable. Here is our day 337 hazards outlook. Of course, the excessive heat still here from the Midwest to the Southeast and also portions of the Mid-Atlantic. But we also have heavy rain expected riding above the ridge to the north. Here's our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Above average for the Northwest and also Mid-Atlantic regions, below average for portions of the desert regions over here, the Chihuahuan desert regions. Here's our 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. Above average for most of the United States, near normal for portions of the North and Florida Peninsula. And finally, looking at our HREF output just to see the timing of our storms today, we will see a pretty much constant risk of thunderstorms here in the Midwest to the Central Plains until that low-level jet depletes our moisture advection from the south. We'll see a lull, and then by the time the low-level jet kicks back in again, we'll see some more rainfall in those regions. Over here in the west, we'll also see some convection as the near surface layer heats up, and we'll see just constant rainfall, especially once we get into the evening hours. We'll see that constant rainfall in New Mexico. While the storm threat up here towards the high plains will probably initiate around 20Z. That will be about 3 p.m. Mountain, 2 to 3 p.m. Mountain time, and we'll see those storms slowly migrate to the east as the time moves on into the evening hours. So we do expect it looks like some isolated development along these regions, which will definitely enhance your hail threats. But again, the kinematics, the nature at which the winds are moving, are not that conducive for tornadoes, but also damaging winds can occur with any downbursts that these storms see over here. That is going to be it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Comment if you have any constructive criticism. And as always, if you have any specific questions regarding your area, please refer to your local broadcast or National Weather Service meteorologists. Thank you and have a great day.